What is up, y'all? It is your boy Winston Wolf. I'm back. I just want to do a quick review. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. So this movie feels like it was tampered with by the studio. And I know that's kind of a hack thing to say because the studio can't keep their hands off of anything, no matter how good it is, unless the director has final cut like a Christopher Nolan or a Tarantino or something like that. You know, always to some degree, it's going to be tampered with. But this, just because there's so many good moments, that this feels like this movie, had they left it alone, had whatever was on the script all been on the screen, or the original version or the original vision had been on the screen, I think we could have got something on the level of like a Guardians of the Galaxy. Something offbeat, something unexpected, something you didn't know you wanted until you actually saw it. Because there are a lot of scenes that work and that are clever, but then there's other scenes that it's not that they don't work, it just doesn't live up to the tone. So I feel like they maybe had something that might have been a little on the edge as far as humor, as far as maybe violence, whatever. And the studio was like, and the studio, the people of the studio had been watching the production up to that point and been like, well, you know what? We can get a lot more out of this if we cut this out, if we cut this out, if we make it more accessible to children, grandmothers, whatever. You know, they saw the dollar signs and they don't realize that, like, okay, look at Deadpool. I'm sure one of those dumb, idiotic, studio people, I'm sure they were like, probably like, oh, well, with, all these F words and everything, we're not going to be able to sell merch. We're not going to be able to sell toys. Well, guess what? Like, what, 2 or 3 weeks after Deadpool 1 came out, and you walk by Hot Topic, and every hoodie in there is, the Deadpool costume, Deadpool shirts, Deadpool action figures, Deadpool video games, everything like that. So I don't... And it's always been like that, and I don't know why they don't understand that. Look at how much merch RoboCop has sold over the decades. Look at how much Terminator has sold. Now look at those original first movies. How violent they are, how raw and uncut they are. So that just shows you how clueless these studio people are. It's like if you create a good product, the money will be there. The money will show up. But you got to have that product first. But I feel like they tampered with this, seeing future dollar signs. Whether it'll happen, I don't know, because if they could get a sequel and maybe the two guys that directed it, I can't remember their names, maybe if they were able to say, okay, well, the first movie made money, it was successful, you want to keep building on it, let us do this movie our way. Hopefully that would be cool, because I feel like there's something there with this movie. But like I said, I don't think it hits on every level. It just feels like it was tampered with. Chris Pine, like, why isn't this dude a bigger star? It's like, he's a big star, but you know what I'm saying? He's not on the level of like a Ryan Reynolds or anything like that. And I think he's far superior to Ryan Reynolds. I think when you talk about two dudes that have the natural charisma and whatever, I think Chris Pine totally, it's a different kind of cool, it's a different kind of class, it's a different kind of witty. It's just, and I don't know, it feels like he should be just a bigger star than he is, pause. But, I mean, of course, him being in here is genius, but I feel like they didn't give him the right supporting cast. And what's his name? Oh my god, I forgot his name. The dude that plays the bad guy. Hugh, whatever. The one that got caught with the, back in the day. What's his name? He was in that dumb movie Love Actually or whatever it was called. You know who I'm talking about, the British guy that looks like he has Down syndrome a little bit because his eyes are like weirdly shaped. I don't know the appeal. They must really love him overseas and in England, because I have never, listen to me, never, older women, younger women, men, anybody say, man, I love that dude, I can't wait to see his next movie, or he was great in this, or whatever. The only time I ever thought that dude was good was in Cloud Atlas, when he played the multiple roles, especially when he played that like savage dude with like the face paint and stuff. That was really great. Why can't I think of his name? Hugh something. You know what I'm talking about. Did all the crappy romantic comedies for literally 20 years. But they just really didn't surround Chris Pine with that, that strong of a supporting cast. And what's her name from Fast and the Furious? I can't remember anybody's name right now. Michelle Rodriguez. She was okay in this. She was okay, but you can't tell me that there wasn't somebody that auditioned better. You can't tell me this straight up seems like, okay, this agency is supplying the cast for this. You know, hey studio, do this for us. You owe us one. Whatever, whatever. It just sounds like seems like a forced thing. I just don't. Michelle Rodriguez, I just don't get it. Girl Fight was good. I remember watching that back in the day. I can't think of anything that I've seen her since where I've been like, hell yeah, she rocked that. I can't. I can't. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. But Michelle Rodriguez, it just seems forced. It just seems, and I am shocked with her in it. I'm straight up shocked in a good way that they didn't try to force any kind of agenda in it. If you can read between the lines of what I'm saying, especially with having her in it, I was for sure once they started talking about relationships, they were gonna go there, but they didn't. But they didn't, to their credit. What else with this movie? I feel like they already. It's another movie where they were planning on having a franchise. They were thinking like 5, 10 years down the line, and I don't get why they keep on doing it. Make the first product, make the first movie good, make the first installment good. Then see, don't keep doing this Universal Monsterverse thing where you're planning out 20 years ahead of time and you're sitting there and you're just loving, the smell of their own farts and just, yeah, this is great, it's going to be this. No, make one that can be good and be successful. Then, why is that so hard? I don't get it. Pause. But it really had a lot of good. And with this movie, it just seems like they sat around, and this isn't a bad thing either. It seems like they sat around and they were like, what are some cool just scenes, some cool situations? And they just had like one after another. And I wish more movies would do that, because some people are like, well, you're not really having like a coherent, just one big story. You're just having scene after scene, situation after situation. But one of my favorite movies of all time, especially when I was growing up, was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And that had a lot of those scenes, like the scene where they're having dinner and they're eating monkey brains and stuff. And then you had the scene where they find the tunnel and they're walking on the bugs, and then they get in the, the trap room with the spikes. That had a lot of that. So I like that kind of movie making. And I wish more people would do it, especially in like fantasy, action adventure, sci-fi. I just, because like how many times have you sat around with your friends getting high or whatever and just being like, what would be a good scene? What would be a good scene? And you always come up with good stuff, but you're just not coming up with like a whole story, a story as a whole. You're just coming up with, pieces of a story. But if you can make all that fit together, I'm there. I'm there. What else about this movie? Yeah, I just feel that the cast was really weak with it. But I do love just the way where it was like modern people, modern ways of speaking, modern mannerisms, all that kind of stuff just placed in that world. I'm totally cool with that because it's offbeat, it's original, it's new. I'm sure someone's gonna be like, well, "What about this movie?" I don't care. I'm not talking about that movie. So, but yeah, and I'm sure there's other people that are gonna be like, "No, I want it like stay true to Dungeons and Dragons." Well, what happened to the other Dungeons and Dragons projects? Go back and think. What, wasn't there like Marlon Wayans in one of them? Yeah, go back and see how well those movies did, sticking to real Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. Sorry, Neckbeard. The rest of us need something else to entice us to watch this, and it's not a bunch of boring garbage. Okay, they need to jazz it up a little bit, and they did with this, but it just wasn't. It was like almost there. It was like watching somebody go up for a dunk, excuse me, and just get the rim. Like a spectacular dunk, but then just not get it. And you're just like, okay, you're almost there. Maybe in a few months, maybe whatever, but you're almost there, and I can see you getting there. And that's what I feel about this movie, Dungeons and Dragons. 0 to 10 dog bones. I'm a Chris Pine stan, man. What was it? Hell or High Water? Yo, if you like Chris Pine, check that movie out. Hell or High Water. Yo, Yeah. 0 to 10 dog bones. Dungeons and Dragons 5. But that's a okay 5. It's not like, I'm just gonna give it a 5. It's like, okay, it's a 5. It's a, if you ever gotta get your wisdom teeth pulled out and they give you some Norcos or some good opiates and you're stranded at home, rainy day, nothing to do, you're in pain, your face is all swollen, you got some pills laying to the side. Oh, what's this? Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves? Bam. Pop a Norco or Oxy, whatever they give you, kick back. It's not a complete waste of time. And that's a compliment. This is your boy Winston Wolf.